Oh boy, let's get into the headlines right here. Check it out. It says CD Projekt responds about a deeply concerning issue. This could truly ruin everything from entire dev studios and games. I kid you not, this is by far one of the biggest issues facing CD Projekt RED and other gaming studios, and we have some very interesting words from a dev from CD Projekt about this, and it kind of gives you an idea of what they're thinking here. Plus, we have CD Projekt RED opens up about Cyberpunk. The devs are listening to feedback before heading into the sequel, and we're going to take a look at what Paolo Sasco has to say. Also, we have a dangerous path for CD Projekt RED, the biggest worry when it comes to the future of Cyberpunk as a franchise. We have got to talk about this one, but you know what? Take a look at this right here. All right, I need to get back to my command center. There they are. Looks like my army is on the move, ready to conquer everything in their path, and most importantly, further upgrade our base. So a few months back, I mentioned that I partnered with War Planet Online, a free-to-play massive multiplayer military strategy game on mobile, PC, and Mac through the Microsoft Store, Steam, and App Store, and it's also available on Facebook Gaming and Huawei. You can even start on PC and continue your progress on mobile throughout the day. Now, War Planet Online is absolutely huge in scope, with battles against both AI and human players across iconic locations like New York City, Tokyo, and more. Expand your base by going on expeditions to collect resources, gain access to new commanders and a wide variety of realistic military units, from tanks to helicopters and much more. You can even join a faction with other players as well. So join me right now for free in War Planet Online. Just click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on the screen. And War Planet Online is for you competitive players that want a challenge. One other reason to join me in War Planet Online, if you click on the link in the description below or scan the QR code right now on the screen, you will receive a beginner package of 5,000 army units and 5,000 medals for an even bigger head start in the game. I hope to see you in War Planet Online. Check it out in the description. All right, so let's get into the Cyberpunk news. You guys know that CD Projekt is very familiar with criticism, so check this out right here. It says Cyberpunk developer believes linear story criticisms are completely justified, and we're going to be getting into some signs of how the developers over at CD Projekt are thinking about the future of Cyberpunk, and most importantly, the sequel. So it goes on to say this right here. Sasco, chatting on his Twitch channel, was asked by one viewer, how do you feel about players criticizing the game for being too linear? To this, the developer replied that it was completely justified before elaborating further. Do you guys feel the same way, that the main story path was way too linear, that there weren't enough branching paths? Furthermore, it says this, there are many things that happened. First of all, players expected more. They expected more because of how The Witcher 3 is built, and I think Cyberpunk has an insane amount of non-linearity, but I think expectations were higher. Of course they were. I mean, off of The Witcher 3, we were expecting like them to evolve beyond The Witcher, I think. And that just did not happen. Furthermore, he goes on to say this. Second thing is, the expectations were specifically regarding big branches in the narrative. And again, there are a bunch of big branches in Cyberpunk, but you are thinking about branches in a different manner. I think that it's just difficult to follow the rewards and the consequences of those branches. Furthermore, Sasco says this. He also touched on parts of the game that were meant to be non-linear, but almost became a non-choice because of the relationships a player can develop with characters in the game. At this point, Sasco mentions Takamura, a character you could save or let die. This is absolutely fascinating. Check it out. It says this right here. This choice is such a big, gigantic branch that actually influences so many things along the way, and was so much work, to make it work both ways. But for the players, at the moment they learned how to do it, they sort of ran to save him. So in a way, it almost became a non-choice. I feel like everyone loved Takamura so much that they're going to always save him. So I get what he is saying there. And perhaps there wasn't enough of a story arc as to a reason why you wouldn't want to save him. Let me know your opinion on that one. Now, he goes on to say this. So, something that was designed to be non-linear wasn't really a choice. When everyone learned how to save Takamura, everyone started doing that, and in the player's mind, it became linear, even though it's not. So yeah, that makes sense to me right there. Now, furthermore, it says players just go down to can I make completely different choices and see completely different content, he shared, while fully appreciating that CD Projekt RED did not meet player expectations on Cyberpunk's release. We do know how to make it better, and I would expect more from us. So I feel like that's a little bit of a tease to the future for Cyberpunk, that they are very, very interested, at least with the sequel, to perhaps elaborate more on choice and consequence in the Cyberpunk universe, which I would love to see. You know, I always go back to Fallout 3. They had absolutely monumental events that would literally change the landscape of entire areas in that game. You guys know what I'm talking about. And that's the sort of thing that I'm kind of expecting from this franchise. I would love to see the ability to basically take down an entire faction, perhaps come in and change the environment in that manner, and it would change characters and story, and then have a different playthrough that was completely different. And that's what I was hoping for Cyberpunk, so hopefully they can tap into this sort of thing in the future for sure. All right, so let's get into the hot topic. Let me tell you what, this definitely ruffled a few feathers, and it deals with, of course, AI-generated content, specifically on the gaming side of things. You guys know of Midjourney and stuff like that. Also, this stuff is taking away some jobs for sure, so there's a lot of worry around it. Now, let's get into it. So, John Lay, who describes himself as someone that's investing in Web3 and stuff like that, says this: "We're entering a new era in AI-first game creation. Up to now, AAA games like Red Dead Redemption 2 cost $500 million and took over 3,000 people 8 years to make. With the generative AI, small teams can ship at near AAA quality, but at a fraction of the cost and time." A few thoughts. So you're probably wondering, where does Cyberpunk fit into this? Check it out. It says this: "As a fusion of art and technology, games are infamously more complex and costly to build. Cyberpunk took a crack team of 500 developers over 9 years and $175 million to ship, and was still widely panned at launch for being incomplete." Now, the game didn't really take 9 years to develop. Of course, many of you guys know that only took, like, I think it was 3 to 5 years. We'll get into the actual developer's reply. He gives more details about that, but it's not the gist of this. Furthermore, he says this: "Up to now, most game development has followed the triangle theory, where a team can only pick two from scope, cost, and time. Building a big immersive MMO with a small team expected to take 10 years. Or speed it up by hiring more, but it costs money." Once again, the fact that AI would be able to replace people, jobs, that is concerning. Furthermore, it says this: Gen AI, promises to break this triangle, enabling good plus fast plus affordable. Imagine Cyberpunk, where much of the world and text was generated, enabling devs to shift from asset production to higher order tasks like storytelling and innovation, all while shipping in 3 years versus 9. Well, to me, that sounds kind of like a soulless game. That is, to me, a huge red flag and concerning. And yeah, look at how beautiful the world turned out for Night City. This is not possible on AI-generated content. So yeah, and that's where we get into the reply from Patrick Mills of CD Projekt, who goes on to say this: "LOL, F off." That's literally his first initial reply. Of course, he gets into more details about this. He goes on to say this right here: "I am breaking my rule against, quote, retweet dunks on account that he invoked the name of the thing I worked on. The only thing that AI could help with is generating filler material like text for props or other stuff that's not really meant to be read." Furthermore, he goes on to say this right here. He says, "Maybe some really minor 2D art, maybe in a decade it could do more. None of it would have made the game better by any significant degree. Call me when AI can code a streaming system." And yeah, you know, AI replacing things like dialogue and then entire systems like creating the world itself, to me, that's a little worrisome, because I feel like every game would start feeling similar. And then, of course, you would have a lot more errors with dialogue, and you would begin to lose the personality from the devs themselves. You know, a Hideo Kojima game feels very, very different from a CD Projekt RED title, and so on. And it's supposed to be that way. You're supposed to feel the personality of the developers through what they have created with the game. You don't want an AI coming in here and creating absolutely everything. And yes, AI does have its place. I do get that it is wonderful in certain respects. Don't get me wrong. I think it's always going to be there and have its place and speed up certain elements. But yeah, let's get back to what Patrick K. Mills had to say here. He says, building that world is not currently capable of generating a world like that. At the moment, it could at best help in the margins, but those tools still need to be engineered. And you know, they're working with Epic Games now on the future of all projects, and Epic Games is really becoming the center of everything. And the way that I think that AI generated content would actually work is through a centered focal point like Epic Games. Because having every single team develop their own AI for streaming and stuff like that would be pretty much a daunting task. But Epic Games, I think they have kind of maybe a plan for AI generated type stuff, as long as it doesn't infringe on the artist's vision. Furthermore, we have Patrick who says this. Also, Cyberpunk was made in a lot closer to 3 years than 9. I thought people knew this, so it took a lot less time than people thought. And also you have to remember that there weren't like thousands and thousands of people working on Cyberpunk, which always fascinates me. And Epic Games is going to be really helping them out with their new Unreal Engine 5 technology. They'll be able to essentially assist CD Projekt RED on that side of things. Instead of CD Projekt worrying so much about developing the engine, they could focus up on the creative side of things. Now, Patrick says this, when I was younger, I'd have been all over this stuff, and even as a cynical old man, I still recognize that there is a tremendous power in this tech. Maybe revolutionary power? But the OP misunderstands the potential of the tech, how it could and should be applied in basic game dev. Yeah, to get to the point of generating entire cities with AI that look anything like Night City, dude, I just don't see that being possible in the near future. But yeah, I thought that was perfectly worded by Patrick for sure, and I do definitely agree with him. I think there's going to be more value in the future on handcrafted games, even with all of this AI technology emerging. All right, so let's keep going. Now, another dev from CD Projekt recently watched, of course, the Witcher TV series. You guys may know it, Blood Origin. I believe that's what it's called. And yeah, it didn't go so well. So he says this, I've watched episode 1 of Witcher Blood Origin for you. Please don't. This comes from an actual CD Projekt RED dev. So this is the part that I was talking about with my headlines earlier, that this is concerning when you see CD Projekt RED devs kind of like questioning what's going on with IPs owned by CD Projekt. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried about what could potentially happen with Cyberpunk once CD Projekt goes all in on like a Netflix series. Now, I'm not so much worried on the side of anime, of course, because they have absolutely nailed it with Edgerunners. But yeah, when it comes to live action stuff with what they have done with The Witcher, I am like deeply concerned with what could potentially happen with Cyberpunk. So hopefully they really stay tuned to what Mike Podsmith has to say, the source material, and really abide by that and have learned their lesson when it comes to things like The Witcher Blood Origin and what has happened with Henry Cavill leaving The Witcher show. So let's hope that they actually learned a thing or two from that experience, because man, that's my biggest fear right now. And to see some CD Projekt people coming out and actually dissing that show, I'm like, wow, this is bad. All right, so let's get into your top comments from my most recent video, which was this one right here. Brand new expansion update, CD Projekt Respond. So let's get into see what you guys had to say, shall we? So Shane Frost goes on to say this right here. I think this was talked about before, but it would be pretty awesome if you can call someone like you would in GTA to hang out, where they would follow you around, socialize with you in activities, or assist you with gigs. It would bring more life to your friendship relationship with others. But anyways, this next update looks incredible. I agree 100%, and also brings life, in my opinion, to the game itself. One thing I love about the Mass Effect franchise is the fact that you can have companions with you basically all the time. They give their opinion on stuff. Sometimes they even argue with each other dependent on who is with you in the group. That's the sort of thing that I want to see in the future for Cyberpunk Orion. Now we have Robert who says this right here: using the fast travel point for me at least depend on the quest. Like checking on the turtle grave, I'm just zapping there and back. But if it's in the Badlands, I'm driving, and if it's around town, I'm walking. It just depends on what works best at the time for me. Yeah, it makes sense. I like to really travel around the map myself as much as possible. But yeah, if I'm like short on time or whatever, then yes, I will definitely fast travel for sure. Now, we have PL who says this: I rather like Night City. It's well designed and features all sorts of cool little areas to explore and find. You know, I was driving through it today, and my jaw still drops at what they have created. I don't know if people get exactly the work that went into this amazing world. It's one of my favorite open world cities ever by far. The detail here is just staggering, and it's a shame that after the expansion, it's kind of going to be like left to the modders. Although, that's going to be cool. I can't wait to see what the modders do. Now, Cyrus says this: watch some other Cyberpunk YouTube channel, and that missing skill tree is actually meant to be songbirds. The engram is in V's head. So if that's true, they've been working on Phantom Liberty for a long time. It was probably even supposed to be part of the base game. We'll have to see if that pans out to be true. That is just a rumor right now, according to leaks. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that actually ended up being true. So a few months back, I mentioned that I partnered with War Planet Online, a free-to-play massive multiplayer military strategy game on mobile, PC, and Mac through the Microsoft Store, Steam, and App Store. And it's also available on Facebook Gaming and Huawei. You can even start on PC and continue your progress on mobile throughout the day. If you click on the link in the description below or scan the QR code right now on the screen, you will receive a beginner package of 5,000 army units and 5,000 medals for an even bigger head start in the game. I hope to see you in War Planet Online. Check it out in the description. All right, so there it is, the latest happenings around Cyberpunk. Look out for more news about this one. And of course, I hope to hop on to Hogwarts Legacy. I cannot wait for that game. It's looking absolutely stunning. So yeah, look out for videos about that one. But thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.